so it accentuates the jawline a bit better.
He's mewing, guys.
Mewing.
He looks locking in. He looks so hot with glasses,
Guys,
let's start, young.
yeah, I don't know actually how to start this. Anyway, so hey guys, welcome to the PokéFolk Podcast. This is going to be the pilot episode. We're going to introduce ourselves. I'm ImLordKai.
I'm Alan.
ColdToast.
Dave.
Hello, Dave.
Dave VGC.
Our purpose is to pretty much just have a podcast about like the Australian VGC scene down in Sydney, and maybe just go through a couple of regionals and talk about Pokemon in general, about competitive battling. My script doesn't really make sense at the moment, but I'm just going to flip back and forth and to see what I need to talk about. But for those of you who don't know the origin of Pokemon, do you actually know what Pokemon actually used to stand for, or the actual name for it was?
Before or after the
Before
rebrand?
it became Pokemon.
Pocket Monsters.
Pocket Monsters.
Yes.
Oh man, Pocket Monsters.
Actually, I believe it was like going to be Capsule Monsters,
Catmon.
and then it became Pocket Monsters.
Yeah.
Let me just pull out the Japanese translation.
Yeah. it's literally Pocket Monster in
Damn.
Japanese.
Even added the accent to
You
it.
got it.
Damn.
He's ready for Japan.
He's going to
Yeah,
Japan,
I'm ready. I'm ready, lads.
Shout out to the Japanese.
Osaka people.
Do you actually know the name of the guy who created Pokemon though?
Oh yeah.
Ken.
Satoshi Tajiri.
Satoshi Tajiri.
Satoshi Tajiri.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
I got close.
So
Yeah.
Probably translates to Ken.
Maybe Ken Sugimori.
Australian name. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Ken Sugimori.
Check, mate.
You were that close.
See that?
Yeah,
See
you're
that?
close. You're
I'm
close.
cooking.
Yeah.
Ken Sugimori was actually the artist who created like the original, like I think the 151 or most of the
Yes.
Pokemon.
I cannot.
Really, but yeah, Satoshi Tajiri, who as a kid liked to collect insects and beetles, but when he got older, he got into video games. So much that then Arcade had gifted him a whole arcade machine to take home, which he took apart and studied. 1991, Tajiri signed with the Nintendo, merged his interests with insects and video games to create the Pokemon game, which essentially was a role-playing version of rock, paper, scissors with a multitude of characters and possibilities. The aim of the game was to catch them all, and during the process, you would adventure regions within the game battling your Pokemon against others. Which brings us here today. A TV show, trading cards, merchandise, and as of December of 2023, Pokemon's estimated net worth is approximately how much, you reckon?
$40.
Wow. 2
was
billion for sure.
2
It was
billion?
like 90 billion, I thought.
90 billion?
90
Well,
billion.
I think was that revenue.
Anyone, you guys know?
108, I'm going to guess billion.
Dollars.
It's pretty much close, 118 billion. It was 90 billion in 2022.
Oh, so they've made like 38. What? Sorry, my maths is bad. 90 billion, 180. That's like 20.
Yeah.
No.
28.
Yeah, 28 billion. I'm sorry.
It's because the entry
But,
fees are so high.
But in Australian dollars, 180 billion in revenue. So it's the most grossing franchise in the world.
Yeah, but isn't that pretty right now? Rubbing his hand.
No.
Tax fraud.
Get my suit on right
okay,
now.
here's another trivia question. Do you know Satoshi Tajiri's favorite Pokemon?
Oh, probably a bug one, eh? I think a Cypher.
Would it be Rhydon? Rhydon was the first. No.
Say Rhino?
What do you reckon?
I reckon it's Weedle.
It's actually Poliwag.
Oh.
Yeah.
I believe they wanted the Poliwag line to be bigger than it actually turned out to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Founder of Rain Teams.
Pretty nice.
Hey, you got Politoed,
I mean,
the
Poliwag.
greatest Pokemon of all time.
Just need Skull, and then I'd be running it. But
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, when he was a kid, he used to collect frogs and tadpoles, and I think tadpoles was one of the most favorite things he liked to collect and take home. But we don't actually hear much of Satoshi Tajiri these days. You know, there's not much that we know about him or in recent times. He's still credited as the executive producer, however, in every single game, he's is credited as the executive producer. But we only ever see the guy at Worlds, who's that Sunekazu Ishihara, who comes out and he does a little speech and shakes the winners' hands and whatnot, and hands out the trophies. But yeah, we don't hear much of Satoshi these days.
What's up with Crown?
I mean, he's not obligated to do
I
it.
think from what I remember, he stepped out after Gen 2 and let Masuda handle Gen 3 from then.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I'm happy with how it's gone. It's past my vision. Someone
Yeah.
else has take over his vision now.
Yeah, Gold and Silver was supposed to be the last games, and then they
just sold too well.
hey, money.
Yeah.
And that's good because we got all the great Pokemon games after that. So.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But we don't get that kind of that old style of, red, blue, gold, silver, that kind of feeling that we get anymore, do we? It's kind of more like modernized. I mean, as time would go, but have you ever gotten that feeling back from when you used to play those games back then?
I'll be honest, I started off with Diamond and Pearl.
Okay.
So I don't remember
Yeah, no, I started with platinum, so.
Oh, jeez. No, I started with leaf green.
Okay.
Oh.
But like, I didn't play gold or silver because I didn't know they existed.
I didn't know they existed until I've got Heart Gold Soul Silver. I was like, oh, these games are nice. They need a pre-make for this.
Bro, I remember Hardcore Soul Silver had this like Pokewalker.
Oh, yeah.
My Charles are still trapped in there.
I brought mine to school. And
Oh, I did
you
too,
can
yeah.
trade with other people on it. But the problem my school had was that people would steal each other's Pokewalkers.
Oh.
The thing is, they steal the Pokewalker, which was one thing, which was like a major issue. That's theft.
Yeah.
But the actual issue they ran into was they were trading bad Pokemon to other Pokewalkers. And then how are you supposed to argue that in front of your parents and the principals? Like, yeah, so they ended up just banning the whole thing.
What do you mean by bad?
You can't, back then you could have your Pokewalker in primary school just attached to your waist because it was a step counter.
Yeah.
You get your steps off for the day, yeah. Now, well, not now, but like when they started banning in about year 5 for me, they took it away because of theft, petty theft. They banned TCG cards as well because they had these things called 2-for-1 deals. Basically, hey, hear me out. If you had a good card, right?
Yeah.
Like some holo card, you'd want to go around on the playground. I'll give you my holo for your tiny teddies. That's a problem, right? Dead set. Dead set.
Pokemon Black
Dead set.
Market.
No, that was an actual thing because back then they had. This is like a whole bunch of law with schools, but they had a thing called the Crunch and Sit program.
Oh,
Eating
yeah.
healthy,
Yeah.
or the parents scrapped like junk food. So Tiny Teddy Smith chips became a high commodity. They would trade dead set. They were trading cards. Shout out St. Joseph's. They were trading cards in school for food. And I'm over here pulling out some of my cards, looking like the tubbiest bloke, getting sausage rolls, sending it. Look, it was banned for a reason. It's just not a healthy.
It's just another form of currency.
They almost
Yeah.
banned the TCG from our school too. Like they had to do an assembly for all the kids who like played Pokemon at the school. Like half the school turned out to the basketball court for it.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, TCG cards are notorious. They pump up the adrenaline a bit too much.
But if you had known how much those TCG cards would be worth now, like back then.
Oh, see, it gets dicey now because in primary schools, look, I can attest to this. Counterfeit TCG cards were a thing.
Oh yeah.
So-
I have a small box of just like Charizard 10,000 HP.
Yeah,
Leafeon 8,000 HP. It's like,
There's a place. I think it's Paddy's Market.
oh yeah.
They have. It's just down the road from it. There's a sketchy like market there back in like 2011, 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah. TCG cards back then. Little me thinking $10 for a set of 100 cards. It's a bargain. So I bought it. Yeah, rock up the school with them. It's like, hold on, that's fake. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
So, yeah.
you could tell like they have a different texture if you just feel them.
Yeah.
Also, if you check the HP.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20,000
year 4 me
HP.
wasn't
Yeah.
cracked. Yeah.
But going back to the VGC side of things, so you mentioned you started in Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah.
You started in
Platinum.
and you started in
Leaf green.
Yeah, he's an old man.
You're an old man.
man.
And
What
I
was your
started
first
in
game?
Gold.
Oh.
Yeah, the original Gold with the black and white gold. That was one of the hardest games I've ever played when I was a
Which one?
child. Gold.
The old Game Boy.
I couldn't get past Sudowoodo.
Yeah, so
Like, I
you
didn't
never
know.
know.
I
You
didn't
never
know.
know. Squirt bottle, yeah?
I didn't have the squirt bottle. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do.
Let's open the yellow pages to find the answer.
Oh, luckily my cousin was playing Silver, so she told me what to do.
Oh,
But
that's good.
even then, I was
come
like, when I saw Sudowoodo, I saw this tree and it did a wiggle, and I was like, I can't get past it. I can't get past it. But yeah, that's showing my age. Now, let's go to the types of Pokemon, like in terms of like the typings. How many typings are there?
18, right? 18? Oh, if you include Stella, 19 technically.
No, I don't think we
Count
count Stella because it's not.
Then it'll be 18.
Yeah.
I think it's
18.
to my knowledge.
Yeah, nice. What's your favorite typings?
Oh, I've just been an electric guy. I'm more of a dark fellow now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, more
Been
of a
in the
dark
sun
one.
too
Changed your
long.
mind.
Oh, I don't know. I think ever since Sword and Shield, I reckon, when they got the Dark Gym leader, Pierce, what a goat. I'm like, yeah, that guy's the goat. No,
Yeah.
no Dynamaxing. He's just confident, dude. I respect it.
True, yeah,
But
true.
most of the dark Pokemons, dark typing, sorry, they're pretty good. They have good designs. You know, you can tell they're evil. No, that's
True.
Flying. No, I have a tradition in every game where I'll like get the mascot bird Pokemon, have it on their team, name it after one of my pet birds.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, you'd need a bird for like fly. Now you don't, but I'm just like, yeah, you're mine now.
Yeah, you can just teleport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about that.
Well, no HM slaves, so.
Yeah, that's true, but you know,
Human
but
rights.
like, it's always great to have that honorary 7th Pokemon, like your Bibarel slave.
Oh.
Like, they won't be on the Hall of Fame, but like they were there for like half the journey.
They were doing
Free
it
dinners.
first, just
Yeah.
smashing rocks, cutting trees. That's the only thing they couldn't do was fly. I think it could do everything else, right?
Yeah, I could do almost
Classic
everything.
trading.
Cut defense.
Come on, fly, Bibarel, fly.
Classic trading. They can do everything. Jeez.
Give me a good joiner. No.
What was your favorite target?
Oh, it's a tricky one. I think it's always been Dragon. Dragon's just too good.
Yeah.
Hear me out.
Yeah.
Hear me out. Dragon's like the best typing. You know, like even after fairies, Dragon is still the best. Plus, who was he? Lance, I think.
Lance.
I was about
And
to say-
Hogwarts.
You look like you'll be a lance in primary school.
Doug, I did have a cape, but his theme song.
But yeah, okay.
I had a sick cape. When you stop whacking around. His song just like slaps so hard. Plus, like
Nah, that's
all
red.
the
That's
good-
red song. That's a red song.
all the good champions had a dragon on the team.
Nah.
Yeah.
Well, Steven, bro. Steven's actually pretty good.
Steven.
Stevens clapped.
Did he have?
Clapped. He looks so.
Wait, I think he did have a dragon.
No,
Did
he
he?
had Metagross.
What was his team? I don't remember.
It wasn't just
I think
Metagross.
it's like Skarmory, both fossils, Aggron, Metagross, I think Claydol.
Yeah, Claydol. Yeah.
Okay.
Claydon's dragon type?
Surely.
No, Claydol's ground.
Is it?
Yeah, ground and psychic.
You see-
Ground and psychic, I think. Or
So,
it's rock and
wait.
psychic, one of them.
Is there any
They had a
dragon
number,
types
though.
on this team?
No.
No.
Then-
They would have all been with Drake.
I'll give you another one.
Yeah.
Cynthia obviously had
Cynthia.
Garchomp,
Me
Alder.
and Alola, because I'm the champion.
Me.
Me and Alola.
There was also the Sword and Shield guy, Leon.
Leon. He has Haxorus.
Dragon.
Dragapult.
But also he had a dragon type Elite Four too. So like he had
Well, they
Reinhardt.
didn't have Elite Four.
Oh no! What
That was
was
gym leader.
Oh, he was gym leader, right?
Gym
Yeah.
leaders,
Right,
yeah.
But he came
Right.
to there was like
Yeah.
a tournament or whatever they did back then.
Yeah.
And Iris, obviously.
Dragon,
yeah.
yeah.
What about Scarlet Violet? I'm trying to remember. Who's
Uh,
Skeeter didn't have
Peter,
it.
no, it's the guy.
The new DLC,
Oh, they gave
Oh, they gave a
Dragon
Dragapult.
now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, well,
Fair point. Well,
And then
besides Steven and Wallace.
Steven's
What
just
about older?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
Drodigon. I
didn't
think it's Drodigon. It's a
Drodigon.
It's a Drodigon.
such a bad dragon.
That's a waste of a kind of a
If we
design,
think-
isn't
I
it?
mean, dude,
Did Diana even have a Goodra?
Diantha was a-
Tyrantrum and Gudra.
Yeah,
Tyrantrum, yeah.
Tyrantrum and Gudra.
If we count N as a champion,
Oh, yeah, it has the mascot
obviously,
legendary.
It's got the legendary.
Dragon's just too good.
Yeah, it is. Well, you know
Oh,
what?
man.
If you count Red as a champion, like the secret boss champion, technically he doesn't have a dragon though.
red.
No.
Yeah,
It's
the
got
red.
Charizard.
Yeah, Mega Charizard X.
Fair enough.
Red is a
You
champion.
put your
Red is a
point.
champion.
You put
Yeah.
your point. Dragon's actually alright.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah.
What about yours, buddy?
But yeah.
Mine would have to be. I like dark,
Yeah.
but I also like water.
Oh.
I think water, just as a typing, has the least amount of resistances or whatever it is.
Wow.
Grassy
Statistics.
Glide.
Grassy Glide, yeah.
Freeze dry.
Dragon types
Freeze dry
crying
kind of
out
wrecks
the
it. But I can't think of a water Pokemon. So instead of a Shifu that's like really strong in the meta at the moment, that's a water
Gastrodon.
type. Gastrodon.
Yeah,
You
Gastrodon.
know what? Slowpoke slaps.
Slowpoke.
Slowpoke. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyogre.
Kyogre.
We just
Kyogre's
said
always
16.
been around.
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good water Pokemon, but not really like a few that are running around that are,
Yeah.
that are quite good.
Sumaril.
Rest in
Shout
peace,
out Mr.
Paladin.
Nibbs.
Mr.
Paladin.
Politoed.
Politoed's good. It just needs Scald.
Polito gets like Usopped by Pelipper though.
Yeah, but back then though.
Back in
Gen
the
5,
day,
Back in
yeah.
Gen
Yeah.
5 though,
Weather Wars.
Yeah.
Different times.
Yeah, forget about Kyogre and Groudon. Think about Pelipper and
Pelipper and Ninetales.
Ninetales.
Full
The goat.
Tyranitar.
Ooh.
Anyway, so we're going to go into competitive battling because that's the reason why we're kind of here is to talk about competitive battling. Some of you, like kind of casual players that plays the storyline, don't know too much about competitive battling.
Yeah,
And, we think about competitive battling in a way where you actually compete against real people in real life in tournaments around the world. And in in Australia, for example, the circuit that we have here is we have regional tournaments, just like in the US or in other countries. We have regional tournaments, and they're bigger tournaments where you can get championship points and that kind of stuff. But we'll touch that on a bit later. The actual format of the battle is different, though, to what people think. Like the game is actually play a storyline. And it's not one-on-one. It's not single battles. It's the double battles. Do you know when double battles got introduced?
It's very.
Gen 3.
Yes.
For competitive battling.
No.
No. So
It
there
was
was
2008, I think, when they had the VGS, the Video Game Showdowns.
there was a world championship back in 2000. It was for gold and silver. They held it in Sydney, of all places. This was before EVs and IVs, and it was singles because doubles didn't exist
Was
back
this
then.
Coliseum?
No, this was before Coliseum.
This
This was
was
2000.
Stadium.
This was like gold and silver.
Oh, that's
This would be like Stadium 2.
Like, I've read it somewhere. I'm pretty sure it's a true fact. And then 2008, it was Platinum was the first VGC. That was before Masters was introduced because TCG as run by the TPCI predates VGC.
So when did they introduce it? Like
I think it would have been
when did it become mainstream?
2009.
2009.
Yeah.
What game
When-
were they playing it on?
I think that would have
It would have been
been.
Diamond Ball. It would have been Platinum.
Would have been Platinum.
Platinum was the first VGC game.
Yeah.
Then it was Heart Gold Soul Silver.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Because it
Just trying to think.
was Gen 4 games until 2011 because Ray Rizzo won his first in Platinum.
yes. No, it wasn't. It was Heart Gold Soul Silver. Yeah.
Yeah.
So his first one was Heart Gold Soul Silver. The next two were Black and White.
Yeah.
Then the next year was Black and
Yeah.
White 2.
So now the format's changed. Like the format hasn't changed, but it's been like this for many years now. The double battles. So what is double battles? You bring 6 Pokemon, have 6 Pokemon in your party as a team, and you choose 4 to battle with. You get to see the other person's team. Back then, you get to see the other person's just the team. You didn't get to see their moves. Now you get to see the team, the moves, and the item, and the Terra, which is
as
different
well.
now. So it's much more different.
Yeah.
So it's open team sheets now. Back then, it used to be closed team sheets.
People were scared.
What are your thoughts on open team sheets versus closed team sheets?
I think for Terra, you kind of had to make it open cheat. Otherwise, it would have just been too random to play around against. Like, honestly, I think for what it's worth, because I only came into playing VGC in Scarlet and Violet, but I think it works for Terras. I don't think it would have worked in the previous rounds because I think it just gets a bit too easy.
Yeah, I think so too, because for this generation it's needed because of Terras, but before you sort of needed to know the meta to be able to play well. Now it's not as taken away, but you get to see all the information in front of you. There's less of a need to make notes because you have all the information. You still need to practice, you still need to build well, but there's less mind games. So there's less, so Parish Trap doesn't work as well because you can see it already, although Wolfie just won a Premier.
No, he won
Yeah, he won a regionals that was before Open Team Chiefs though, was it?
No. Well, he's won 2 with Parrish.
Oh yeah.
I think those were closed team sheets.
I prefer closed team sheets, but I don't know if they'll go back.
Yeah, I think it'd be very hard to go back now. I think once they've got this idea forward, it's going to probably stay there until maybe a different game comes out next generation and that kind of stuff. But what makes it so different from single battles, because we play single battles in the storyline. We barely only do double battles here and there. Sometimes we do double battles with NPCs here and there, but it's not the form that we use. And there might be occasional one gym leader that will do double battles. What makes single battles different to double battles? And why do you think they introduced double battles for competitive play?
Well, if you've played singles competitively, such as in Smogon, which is the unofficial sort of competitive scene for singles, gosh, they go for a long time. Doubles really quickens up the game because stall is much harder to play in doubles. Doubles favors more offensive teams, although you can still play defensive, still play Trick Room and whatnot. I'm just trying to think.
I think another big thing, at least when I remember, because I used to play singles quite often competitively. I think the big thing is the reliance on protect. I think pretty much in singles, you're not really relying on protect unless you're again playing store tactics like poison, toxic heal, and poison. But yeah, I think just like Toast said, like it's quicker as well. But I think protect is definitely the biggest mind shift because in singles, protect just wastes a turn. But if you protect,
unless you're
wish protecting, which is again strategic. But in doubles, if you protect one mon, you actually have to think around protect.
Yeah.
Whereas in singles, you're not really thinking around it. You're just trying to push the game forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Look, my personal take is singles is like always going to be easier than doubles by quite a big proportion. The way I think of it is singles is it's kind of like playing, if you make one wrong decision, then that can end the whole game for you. Whereas in doubles, it provides you with more possibilities to do things and it gives you more of that strategic element instead of kind of randomizing. Like in singles, one of the common strategies is, let's say you have a Hippowdon, it sets up Stealth Rocks, then it starts roaring out Pokemon and recycling it. If at one point you taunt the Hippowdon and then pivot out into a sweeper like Blaziken, Swords Dance, and then you get speed boosted, the game's over from there. Same thing applies to any other mode of setup. Could be, a Blissey setting up its minimizers or its defense curls. It's very one-sided in a sense, where it's solely kind of reliant on the strategy you go for. And if your strategy doesn't line up with the outcome, then you're kind of in trouble. Whereas doubles, I mean, some people compare it to, look, it's going to trigger a lot of like chess players, but it's almost a comparison to chess.
No, I agree. Yeah.
It's not on the same, it's tricky to kind of parallel both of them together, but the idea is you have 4 Pokemon out on the field and you're basically pivoting, moving, and placing your Pokemon in the right spot to try and take out your opponent as best as possible, which sounds easier than when it's actually done.
It is similar to chess in a way because we have ideas of like openers, mid-game, and closing. Sort of a start, but then like infinite ways a game can go depending on what move you choose. In singles, like you are stuck in doing a certain thing. Doubles, there's so many combinations and you sort of have to think about it all the time because you're not only thinking about yourself, but you're trying to guess what the other player is going to do with both their Pokemon or if they're going to switch. So there's always these mind games, and it's the same in chess. And you can sort of play ahead in doubles in the same way you can play in chess, not as far. And chess doesn't have setup moves like Swords Dance or Tailwind. Swords Dance Queen.
Yeah.
Full status.
Full status.
Paralyzes the queen.
So it's kind of like that argument. It's like singles is checkers, maybe doubles is chess. Is that in that way?
I suppose so, but I think Smogon, for what it's worth, they do section the Pokemons quite well.
Yeah.
I feel like any tier of singles you play, even though you're playing singles from my memory, it's going to be a bit different just because the different mons that you're using is also different based on the tiers.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then all. But in doubles, I feel like it goes either way. You can use like any mon and make it work. Like if you're, that smart or that tactical, you can make anything viable.
Pachirisu, VGC 14, the winning World Championship team was brilliant. No one expected Pachirisu. And maybe in another format it wouldn't have worked because you would have just gone for Amoonguss, but that team was brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you were to explain to someone, like a casual person that plays a storyline, maybe wants to catch shinies instead and not really get into the competitive battling, would you tell them, hey, how would you tell them to, hey, maybe let's get into competitive battling? Would you?
Oh, man. Bank details. Give them over. You're going to need them.
Yeah.
No.
What would you tell them? How would you encourage someone to play competitive battling?
It expands the game so much.
Yeah.
Like, you can play through the story and then you'll drop it, but the meta of the competitive scene takes maybe a 50-hour game and makes it 500 hours because you're you're breeding Pokemon, you're training them, you're practicing, you're looking forward to that next tournament. It just makes the game bigger, and then you're meeting all these cool people at tournaments. You're thinking about the game in different ways. It turns Pokemon from sort of a one and done thing. You wait a couple of years to like, you know, in a way, sort of make relationships with your competitive teams, especially ones that have done well. And yeah, it becomes a hobby in a way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it also takes up a lot of time. So it is a time commitment to play a competitive Pokemon, because you're not only just practicing, like in other esports, like, you know, you may just be practicing games with your friends or with your team. In VGC, you also have the caveat of needing to learn how to build teams and train Pokemon, which takes up time. But to me, it just makes the game fuller. Gilbo, what do you think?
Oh man,
Yeah, so coming from when
As
you
the
were probably one of the
champion.
earliest people that started playing.
I'm so well.
Like what changed you from playing the story to actually going into competing? Like what was the thing that changed your mind?
The word that rhymes with runny, honey, sunny, starts with M. Alan? No, okay.
Barney the dinosaur.
Oh, gee. Look, money is an interesting thing. Because wait, hear me out.
Here we go.
Back in my day, 2015,
Yeah.
Sydney Regionals was free. As in, not the competition, but like it was entry fee. It's free. So you rock up there, and at first, I saw an ad on TV. And it said,
that was me too.
Yeah. It's like, come to Sydney Regionals. I'm like, huh? And it's like, yeah, you can meet people, play Pokemon. I thought, sick. I hop over there first year thinking I would meet people. Turns out we were actually playing. So I like start assembling a team on the spot. I got my player ID on the counter, basically. Free entry, which was great. And then once we started playing, I was like, to be honest, I was like dazed out of it. But then they started announcing there'd be prizes if you win the tournament. And back then, little kid from the Riff, shout out Penrith. look, any they didn't actually. Look, they didn't highlight what the prize was. They just said there was a prize. And I'm always down for like, you know, it could be a candy cane. I want a prize. And then they say, yeah, if you come first and second, you get a free flight to Melbourne to play at the Nationals. That was it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Melbourne? I've never been out of Penrith. So being in Sydney was like one of like 3 experiences ever. So no travel whatsoever. I thought that was big. I ended up getting smoked in top 8.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
So you still made top 8?
yeah, I made top
team
8.
you constructed on the day?
Did you build a team, or were you like
I
me?
built it on the spot.
On the day.
I brought my campaign team. No EV or AB training, just like, and I got smoked. I still managed to take 2 games.
I had a little raffle and I just like pulled Pokemon out of it and they were in my box. So it had like the weirdest, it made no sense. But moral of the story is I just rocked up there to play and, you know, suss out what was going on, which was good. There was nothing dodgy about it. I thought I would double down on the whole thing and bring my younger brother at the time, who was, I mean, I was in year 9, so I think I was 14. And he's 4 years younger, so he was about 10. And at Sydney Regionals, they had your 3 divisions: juniors for your kids under 10 and under, I think, or 11 and under, and then seniors from 12 to 16, and then masters 17 and above. So when I brought him along to play, I just gave him all the good Pokemon, Salamence, Tyranitar, the things that are like monsters.
Yeah.
And then he ended up winning his regional, so he got a free trip to Melbourne.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, oh, snap, you're going to Melbourne, dog. And then, you know, kids can't travel interstate by themselves.
Yeah.
So then him and then my mum gets a free trip to Melbourne. And I'm like, this is some unfair stuff. So then I end up taking a train to Melbourne as well. But when I went to these, you know, first-time events, you meet all sorts of people.
Yeah.
Look, for the majority, there are very good people in the community everywhere. There's a few wacky people. I met one guy who dressed up in an Eevee onesie and he smelled so foul. Oh man, he smelled. I don't know. It was like in the queuing line outside of Melbourne Convention Centre, and he just like he smelled. And yeah, he wasn't a kid though. He was like at least 30 and a beard, which isn't bad. But like deodorant is a beautiful
Please wear
invention.
deodorant, guys.
Yeah, but
It's not that hard.
If you hear me, you're welcome. Listen to this. Shout out.
shout out to Link.
Shout out to Lynx.
But no, look.
This
Are we trying to get a sponsorship now?
Oh no.
Wouldn't mind it. Anyway.
But events for the first time, I mean, when I was playing to start with, they were very like grungy. Bit like, it's basically like this room as we're in right now.
Yeah.
Whereas if you see modern day internationals and regionals, they're flying. They've got like banners, posters, they've got tablecloths. Yeah. We tried snagging a few at Brisbane and we got caught. Well, no, it's very inviting. And yeah, it's definitely a good way to up the LinkedIn contacts and meet new people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What? How did you know what team to use? Like, did you know the meta? Like, what was going on?
At the time, first year, no idea. Genuinely,
Yeah.
I did use a raffle from my hat.
Yeah, so literally like Toast, just
Yeah,
use
no,
a
I
campaign
was
team.
worse. I was worse because I had no trained Pokemon. I just brought my campaign team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Look, second year got a bit better because Australia had this website called Pokemon Australia,
Okay.
which I think
Yeah.
it's kind of died now. But basically, they just posted teams that people have used. And then if you use your skills of deduction, you can start to see the common trends, which at the time, 2016,
Well,
there was a lot of...
the one common trend.
Yeah, there was a lot of Groudon. So, I mean, you put the pieces together and you think, okay, maybe I'll use what everyone else is using, or maybe I'll use something that potentially beats this. So I remember in year 10, it's going to sound so bad, we had these, hey, went to the same school. All right,
Yes,
all
we
right. So
did.
we had like 6 period days, right?
Yeah.
During those periods, you know, you're meant to study. I highly endorse studying. But we had these like tables with these pigeon trays where you can pull out. You put your books, your textbooks in it, your pencil case. I took all of my stuff out, chucked it in my bag. I placed a book in there and my DS, and I just started writing team building stuff on it. I went fire type, grass type, water type.
Okay. That's
Keep
the
it.
core.
That was my call. Keep it to the elements. Now let's start looking at threats. Okay, maybe I'll have you to counter Groudon, maybe you to counter Xerneas. Now let's look at weather. Let's look at speed control. Let's look at redirection, setup, fake out, pivoting. Now I still have the book somewhere at home.
Oh, dear.
That's it. It is like the mankiest book.
Shout out Damo.
Yeah, oh man, there was so much going on. And while I was writing those teams, back in, I'm not sure if you played Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire.
Did, yeah.
They had this like battle tower, battle mazing sort of thing.
yeah.
And on the side, I was just grinding BP.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
and I got up to like level, I think 130 something.
Yeah.
A streak or?
Streak, dead set.
Oh,
I had
wow.
like,
That's rough. People
Just-
struggle to get
just-
50.
Yeah.
Dog, it was so cool because I had to beat up Terrakion. Shout out Whimsicott. Yeah, but no, I was getting the BP because back then
It was hard to get beat.
it was insanely hard. If you
Yeah.
didn't have, like, I remember queuing up in line at a nationals, needing to get BP for I think Icy Wind, and I was like 30 off. So as I was grinding it, waiting at the registration, I'm like, God, just give me a second, guys, because I didn't know that illegally modified Pokemon were a thing. Shout out Cathotics. But
Just to mention BP, so BP are battle points which you can acquire through a thing called the Battle Tower, which you battle trainers, which you can, when you get points, you can use the points to convert to TMs like Icy Wind or items such as Focus Sash or something
they've
like
made
that.
it better now.
Yeah.
A lot better.
You can just buy it with cash now.
Yeah, oh, so good.
Yeah.
Cash is king.
But yeah, so that's kind of how you started with like VGC. You just saw the ad on TV, same as you saw the ad on TV, went there, played, got into it, liked it. But some people like us who just recently started playing competitive battling, like for you, how did you what got you into it? You've always played Pokemon.
I've always played Pokemon. I played singles quite often after high school, and then I guess uni comes around. You know, traditional Asian, not trying to get
Stop
too
being
deep.
single.
No, it's like when they ask you where you're going, you say I'm gonna go to Melbourne for a regional. Gonna be like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But you know, once I graduated uni, I was like, I have free time, I have money. What can I do? And I've always wanted to go to like a regional, right? So I think Perth, like 2023, was my first regional. I think. Regulation B was the format, I think.
Perth.
Yeah, Perth.
Perth, yeah, I think it might be.
Regulation B.
How'd you get to Perth?
It was the first one for the year for Scarlet Violet.
Man,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out
so-
Mr. Noodles.
Mr. Noodles. But yeah, no, it was good. Like I think I didn't expect. I'll be honest. I didn't think how big the Pokemon scene would be in terms of like people liking Pokemon, because I've always been like a very close bubble of like who actually plays Pokemon, and most of the people I don't know if they play it quite casually. You have a few TCG people here and there, but once I got in there when I was playing VGC, everyone was like locked into the screen. I got pretty overwhelmed because I didn't know people actually played Pokemon, especially for like this many people.
Yeah.
It's a different type of community, which I'm glad that I went, because I got to meet great people like you guys. Like you guys.
Say my name.
Say my
Say my name.
Okay, Dave.
Dave.
How did you understand what teams to use and stuff? Like, where did you get your information from?
That's the problem. I didn't. No, okay. To be fair, like I think most of my teams that I tested, I was using a lot of like teams that you see on Wolfie's channels, Cybertron's channels, James' channels, and I pretty much just made a team, kind of picking bits of like their teams overall. I ended up playing Trick Room overall because I think Trick Room kind of matched my style the best. And at the time, I remember. I remember at the time the one Pokemon that I used that people didn't use right now, but a lot of people was using was Figurath. Like I bought Figurath, which had like no play in regulation.
Yeah.
I'm like, fair enough. I didn't want to play Indeedee for the psychic terrain, so I'll play something else that had stops priority, which was Figurath.
Yeah.
So I kind of just made my team bits and pieces and just tested a lot of different teams. I did okay for my first regionals. I didn't think I did too bad, but it wasn't like negative ratio, which is like a good, in my eyes, I think, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. But I think honestly it's the people. I think once I played the regionals, like it was fun. Don't know if I can do this long term, but I think the people just there. You see them, you're like, I want to see it the next regionals.
Yeah.
And all the next locals, or the next internationals. So.
No, that's cool. I think that's one of the biggest parts is like-minded people generally find each other in events like that and just end up like hanging out and stuff. Like I met Alan and Mr. Noodles at
Noodles, shout out.
Perth. Shout out to Mr. Noodles as well, who's not here, but
he's with us.
Yeah. But yeah, the way that I got into battling was I actually had a regionals it was in Paddington 2016, but I also came with my campaign team and I had Umbreon and Toxic Stall and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't know Stall was a thing back then. Like I just played it.
The three of us were there at that one regionals, and we didn't know who we were.
That's so wild. Oh man.
Were you there? No, you.
I wasn't there,
No,
unfortunately.
no.
Bonnie Rig.
They wouldn't let me out of the house.
Yeah.
I was studying too much.
But I also saw the ad on the TV as well. So I also saw the ad on the
You got
TV
the
as well.
marketing's really good.
I was doing wonders.
Unfortunately, we don't see ads like that on TV.
No one
Yeah.
watches TV.
Who watches TV? We're just all on YouTube and stuff. But
Unfortunate.
yeah, the way that when I came back into competitive battling like this season or last season rather, and my first one was OCIC, and I had a good idea of like IVs, EVs, and that kind of stuff, which we'll talk about later. But I didn't do too well. But I enjoyed the battling concept, which was fun. I think like life after the story can be a bit bland if you're not either shiny hunting or battling, because if you're not doing those, what are you waiting for? You're waiting for the next storyline, right? Which the storylines that there's plenty of people on YouTube that predict what's going to happen next. Like the most recent thing of the talk of the town is what's the next game? What's the next Legends game? Is it going to be Legends Johto? Is it going to be Legends Celebi? Is it going to be Legends Arceus 2? What's happening? What's going to come? What's the next DLC if there's another DLC coming out? So there's not much to do between if you're not doing those kind of things as well. So yeah, I enjoyed it. But the hardest part is knowing what to do, like where to find your information. Yeah. Where would you recommend to find how to make a team? Because making a team is not as easy as just bringing your favorite Pokemon, is it?
Yeah.
It's much more complicated. Much more complicated than that. You can bring one or two, but there's a whole thing what we call the meta, and the meta kind of defines how competitive battling is going right now and what Pokemon is most commonly used at the moment. One of them, obviously, like let's just call it out, like one of them being like Incineroar and Urshifu, which is like the two and Fluttermane, which are the three most kind of popular meta Pokemon at the moment, and what most people kind of bring as well. But yeah, where do you find your resources and how to build teams and stuff and whatnot? Like,
Mine's gonna be so bad.
I know we listen to Dave.
we don't listen to Dave. Yeah. I think we all listen to Dave. I listen to Dave.
Oh man.
Dave VGC.
Look, there's so many like answers to this. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna like tier these into like different tiers
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
for
I love tier
for
lists.
ethics.
Next segment.
I think your most basic entry point is websites like Victory Road, VGC,
Yes.
or a lot of like the Spanish websites as well that have really good teams on there. But they're in Espanol. But you know what? Google Translate is fantastic. But no, most of these teams, like if you're starting competitive Pokemon, you know, you'll see like these EVs, IVs, numbers, you won't understand what they mean. So you might have to go research what that is, which is why other websites like Cerebi.net is good as well. But that's just to get started. You basically...
Quickly define EVs and IVs.
EVs,
Ooh.
effort values, which is you get 510 of them all up. And for each of these effort values, you can place them in either 6 stats, being HP, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, speed, which kind of, you know, if you put it in defense and special defense, it increases the resilience of your Pokemon to moves. Whereas if you put it into attack or special attack, it makes it more heavy hitting. And then you've got HP, which kind of goes towards defenses as well. And then you have speed, which is either making it fast or slow. Whereas on the other side, you've got IVs, which are your individual values, which is kind of like what your Pokemon's assigned from when it's first met, essentially. So if you have 6 IVs, that means every single stat is perfect, which means that you can then go ahead and do the EV training. If you don't have perfect IVs, you can use these bottle caps, which kind of fixes them up. Okay, it's a bit of like a repair job on it, but sometimes you don't want perfect IVs. Sometimes you want 0 attack IVs to reduce foul play damage. You want 0 speed EVs sometimes to make it slow, to get it ready for Trick Room. But it's just about tinkering around. You kind of want to max out the good stats.
Is it still 31 IVs per stat now?
I think so, yeah, still is.
I think the J-Wits summed up EVs and IVs pretty well. EVs is like, you know, you're training every day, you're working hard, you're building up in certain areas of your strength or agility. But like he also said, you could train as hard as you like, but you'll never be Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
IVs are like the genetics of Pokemon. Just some Pokemon are just different.
Yeah.
They're like the Steve Smith of like VGC or
Get
something
those
like that.
bottle caps out.
So unfortunately there's no bottle caps in real life to help us with our
No,
with our
not 6 foot.
truth.
Yeah, I wish I could just swallow a bottle cap and
6'5".
become like a great cricketer or something
That's
like that.
that's a good way of explaining it. So I guess like your EVs are your effort, like you're training every day, and your IVs are pretty much what you're born with, like and how you naturally progress into a human being.
I believe the original idea for EVs was that as you go through the game, your Pokemon will get a spread of EVs and different stats. So even if your Pokemon are under-leveled, like they'll always be stronger than whatever NPC you're playing against because they just have base stats. But as the community has grown, we've discovered ways where we can manipulate EVs by training Pokemon in certain ways so we can neglect some stats and put it into stats that really matter. For example, you have a
Hard medicine.
a Garchomp. Like you want max speed, max attack for 4 HP.
Yeah.
Carlos.
But our recommendation is, I guess, like we can't explain it fully here. It's best to see through like YouTube videos that actually show
give you
you
a
what to do it. So I guess that's a kind of just touching on that really briefly. But we're talking about kind of resources. So like there's videos on YouTube, there's live streams, and I guess the best way to play to find out is just to play. Like
Trial and error.
Yeah.
trial and error.
That's what I tell everyone that sends me a message saying, "Is this right?" I'm like, "Yeah, just trial and error. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you can find out what needs help with the team." You kind of look. There's going to be like 100 guides on this on YouTube. I think almost every VGC YouTube has covered it. But you want a team that works together. It's kind of like, how do I put this? It's like building a house. If you only hire a builder, he's gonna get the bricklaying done. He'll get the foundation done. He'll get all that done, but you won't have electricity, working water, or tiles. That's where you need to call an electrician, a plumber, and a tiler. Yeah. And within a team, you've got Pokemon like Incineroar. That's your fake out Pokemon, your pivoting Pokemon. Then you've got the plumber, Among Us, your redirection Pokemon. Right? Then you got the electrician. Your Blood Moon Ursaluna, arguably the hardest worker out there. Shout out to all the Sparkies.
My Sparky is Ursaluna.
Yeah. See that it's like the trade industry.
Yeah,
That's how a team works.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people. Like, as long as you got synergy and it works, you're set.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, then
Yeah.
you know what? It kind of like parallels making friends. You got to have like synergy, isn't that right, boys?
Synergy.
High five, very nice. Yeah, you don't leave me hanging.
Wait, this.
It's more than five. That's more than
That's
Zesty.
Another thing you could use rentals.
Oh yeah, rentals.
Just use rental teams. There's rental teams all over, like you said, the Victory Road website, the Spanish one as well.
Back in my day, those didn't exist.
Yeah, man.
No rentals back
no
then.
Pre 2020.
Yeah, before Sword and Shield, I think.
Yeah,
rough
we didn't
days.
have. Oh, it was
Long
playing
days.
VGC back then was
Would have been tough. So would you say it's definitely more accessible now for people to play and try to get into?
Oh yeah.
I think.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think VGC in the modern day is a lot better for people getting in. I think for your older players, they're fuming.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
easy to get in, but we're not. It's not. It's hard to explain.
There was a lot of dodgy things back in the old days.
Also back in the old days, there were a lot more tournaments. At least in Australia.
Yeah.
Every capital and New Zealand got a regionals, and we had a nationals. Then they started cutting our tournaments over time, so we don't have as many as we used to.
So that kind of brings me to my next topic, like tournaments. Like every year or every season, there's a World Championships. Last year it was in Japan. This year it's going to be in Hawaii. How does one get to the World Championships?
So you need to compete in so many tournaments and collect so many championship points, which you get by placing high to the point where you reach a certain threshold, after which you get an invite from the Pokemon Company to attend the World Championships. And you collect those by obviously competing in officially sanctioned VGC tournaments. And there's sort of 4 tiers. So you've got your locals, what we call Premier Challengers. They give you 20 championship points. If you win 30. Yeah, the expert guys. 30 championship points. Then you got your mid-season showdowns, which are also community events. They're like 50.
50. Yeah,
50.
And then above that, you got your regionals. These are held as like your
Kind of
Yeah,
state, like
yeah,
within
your
the
state,
state.
yeah. So Melbourne regionals, Brisbane regionals, Perth regionals. Those are the big ones. That's when hundreds of people will turn out. That you get. Is this still 150 championship points?
200.
That's 200 now.
So 200 championship points, or what we call championship, CP is a short for championship points, and $6,000, or $6,000 US, which
And a
converts
world's
to
Cheeky
World's
tax.
invite now.
and a world's invitation if you
Yeah.
win the
Oh, yeah.
regionals. So
Yeah.
if you come first in the regionals, then you win. You get those prizes, but you don't have to win it. You can come first, second, third, down to 8th, maybe even to the top 32, maybe depending on how many people, top 64. If there's 900 people, how many? Do you know how
I
much?
think it's the top 256.
Top 256 gets championship
Yeah.
points. Yeah.
Lucky them.
So that they get CP as well, but they don't get cash. I think cash is just reserved for the top 8.
Just for the top,
Yeah.
top 16.
Top 16 people.
Yeah.
Top 16 people. So even if you come 16th, you still get, I think, how much, like
I think, it's 500.
500.
500 US
It's-
bucks,
it's not bad,
which is
yeah.
pretty good, which is about 800 Aussie. They slash 30% tax off it. I don't know how much that
It's
is.
about 450.
450 Aussie. Yeah,
It sure is.
the tax hits you pretty hard, but
And after that,
Internet.
I'd compare them to like Grand Slams,
mm,
the international championships. You got the North American, the European, the South American, and there used to be an Oceanian one. That's 500 championship points.
It's
Those are the
dirty
big
out
ones.
yeah.
There used to be
Oh, man.
a tier called nationals, and every major country used to get one. So there'd be a UK nationals, US nationals, Canada nationals. They've cut that back. So each VGC region, except for Japan and Korea, they get their, because Japan has its own circuit for VGC that they organize themselves. But the internets, they're the big ones. You see players that would usually stay in their regions, they'll fly overseas to attend these huge tournaments to get that big international championship prize.
Yeah, no, it is a bit. It's 10K now. No, 15K.
Yeah, that's
For
50K US.
15K US if you win.
internet.
Yeah, it's actually really high.
Yeah.
Worlds is like if you win Worlds now, it's 50K.
50. Yeah, I remember it's like you get pretty much just work.
Yeah,
a
it's
year
Ray,
salary.
Ray Rizzo crying right now after only getting 30,000
Fair
for
enough,
winning 3
inflation.
gold
I
shots.
feel like
Yeah,
3,000
it is.
worth.
I mean, back then, 30,000 is still a lot, though. Like,
Oh, yeah,
when you look at
inflation.
like,
It's not
and
bad,
stuff, so it's
yeah.
not too bad.
Inflation.
So so you talked about the different tiers. So when you talked about like the Grand Slams, it's kind of like smaller tournaments to big tournaments to the world's biggest tournament as well. So yeah, for Australia, you need 300 championship points.
Correct. 300.
It used to be 250.
Yeah. Why did they
No,
increase
200.
it?
It used to be
200
200
and then
championship
more.
points. Now it's 300. They've increased it whilst reducing the amount of
Yeah.
tournaments. And for the US, it's 500. For other places like the Middle East, it's 250. I think for Africa,
200.
Africa might
It's
be the
200.
same as Middle East. No, I'm not sure. Maybe it's different.
That's
That's also 200. There's the Europe as well, which is how much I don't know how much Europe
Europe's
is.
400.
400.
Exactly,
And there's
yeah.
South America or
Latin America.
Latin America.
I think
That is 300.
300 as well.
300. So they're not too bad at the moment. But I think the US is pretty much like the highest tier.
Yeah.
But the reason why it's the highest is because they get a lot of tournaments.
They get
Yeah.
heaps. They get,
Yeah.
I think, maybe 15 to 16
Yeah, they got a lot
times
of
more than
regions.
Wow.
That's a lot of tournaments as well. And people can just fly interstate
Yikes.
to different places to go and play. Which comes to the most recent regional that happened last weekend, which is Charlotte Regionals,
Charlotte.
which is the second biggest or the biggest regionals.
It might be
I
the
think.
biggest, I think.
The biggest regionals
It
that
was
was
Orlando
hosted
before, I
so
think,
far.
yeah.
Before was Orlando, so this hosted about 900 people. And guess who won it?
The Wolf.
Wolf Glick. Dave Glick. No, Wolf Glick.
Goofy, Willick.
People would agree probably Wolf Glick is one of the greatest VGC players of all time. What, 3-time, 4-time nationals champion? I don't remember.
No, it's more than that. I think it's 8-time now.
Wow.
8-time national regional champion.
Yeah.
Anytime regional.
Yeah.
World champion 2016, one of the more interesting formats. Played against Ray Rizzo in the 2012 finals. I think Ray Rizzo, even though he played in probably less difficult conditions, would probably still be considered the greatest VGC player of all time. But Wolf Glick is definitely up there. If you don't know who Ray Rizzo is famous for being the only person to win more than one world championship, and he's done it 3 times. Yeah,
3 in a row.
3 in a row. So yeah, the Donald Bradman of VGC.
Yeah. But yeah, Wolfie did win it. So he got himself a World's Invite, 200 CP, and $6,000. So good on him. Now, the thing with Wolf is, last season he always used to find like different Pokemon, like Diamonds in the Rough, that kind of worked differently from the meta.
Yeah.
I think he's taken 3 months off, and his approach to this season, I think, is use Pokemon in the meta, pretty much. And he's come with the Ogerpon, the Fluttermane, Incineroar, Urshifu, Farigiraf, and the Rillaboom. Now, I'm no expert at analyzing teams. I'm more of kind of a basic kind of analyzer. But have a look at his team. What do you guys, when you see his team, he's got the Urshifu with Surging Strikes, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, U-Turn, Incineroar, Fluttermane, Farigiraf, Ogerpon, and Rillaboom. I won't go through all the teams, but I'll put it on the video so people can see. What do you guys reckon? He's got some things that kind of stand out to me with his team is that he has Carmine Fluttermane with Booster Energy, which is kind of different. I'm not sure if it was speed or special attack. I'm going to guess it's speed. And he's got double Grassy Glide with Ogerpon Heart Flame, which is the second popular Ogerpon, and Rillaboom, which has got the Grassy Glide as well. What do you guys reckon of his team?
It's very meta. It's very, although the
Mons
yeah.
are meta, but the moves aren't
No.
so much.
I think it's like, it almost reminds me of his 2019 North America team.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like, it's almost balanced in a sense, but at the same time, it's a bit, I think it would be tricky to use. I know some people have tried using it. I mean, if you look at like Incineroar and Farigiraf, usually those two aren't the most defensive Pokemon, but he's got that throat spray on it, which makes it pretty offensive. But at the same time, I mean, the entire team, it's a bit tricky, I think, because in my opinion, I think the Flutter main's really well placed with the Calm Mind and the Intimidate as well, and like lack of priority, which makes it a big threat. The Rillaboom is, I think, with the Incineroar, makes it good fake out users and pivoting with U-turn and parting shot. I think, I mean, on the surface, I think it is pretty well balanced. Yeah,
I think
it's tricky.
No, I was about to say your teams. Wolfie's teams always, there's other teams you have to think really hard. Like certain teams you can just play. Wolfie's teams are designed in ways that, like, you have to play every move. I don't know if I have the mental energy anymore to play like that. Especially thinking back to his World Championship team. Gosh, with the Hitmontop and the Raichu, yeah.
What do you reckon, Alan?
Like, I think honestly, he knows the meta pretty well. He has, like, I suppose probably has a great team of, like, his own group testing and trying out different teams. And I think what you guys pretty much, our first impression is very meta. But yeah, just as Toast said, there's a lot of different, like, hidden kinks and, like, mechanics that you look at it and you're like, oh, that's cool. But once you play it, you realize that it's not a simple, like, scissors paper rock game. There's a lot of, like, I'm quite sure on this, there's a lot of synergy behind it. Like, without testing myself, I don't know how good the synergy is, but from what he built I'm sure it has great synergy with each other. A bit stingy with the EVs, didn't really give us the EVs to really
Start up to his page.
But I think honestly, like, all the Terras make sense. The Terras, I guess, kind of newer to me is the Terra Grass Fluttermane, but I guess that could be for Amoonguss, I suppose.
That means you would have 3 Amoonguss encounters. So he's got the safety goggles and Incineroar, I guess the Grass, Fluttermane, and then Rillaboom. So
Rillaboom as well.
And he's also got Ogerpon too. So that's 4 actually.
4, yeah. So I think, he knows the meta. He knows how to play against it and around it, while providing some sort of, like, good strategies behind, like, going against his ops.
Shout out Dondozo.
Dozo.
What's his Dondozo count?
Yeah, what's the
Dondozo?
Dondozo?
honestly though,
It's
could
Ogerpon
be
and
just be Ogerpon.
I think the one set he did lose to was to Stephen Mia, who had a Chi-Yu, which I was looking, I'm like, yeah, that would tear apart
Oh really?
a good chunk of this. Yeah, we're just judging by doing Chi-Yu. I don't think his one was Terra Grass though, but I think Stephen was the only person that won up him, I think.
So he's only got 1 loss.
One loss, and that was to Stephen.
Oh wow, so Stephen Mia.
Yeah, and that's
interesting.
Yeah, that team looks nasty to us.
Oh yeah.
So that actually looks nice.
So he's got the Wellspring Ogerpon, he's got the Glimora with Power Herb, Fluttermane with Booster Energy, Chi-Yu Choice Specs, Dark Shifu with Focus Sash and Tornadus Rocky Helmet. So I can see that the core kind of revolves around a lot of, like, the weather is pretty important, in my opinion, to get lots of damage off. But we can see there's a bit of redirection, and also, you need to hit through Protect, and one Pokemon that can hit through Protect is obviously Urshifu, so he's got that there. So you reckon the reason for beating Wolfie is because of the Chi-Yu, you're saying? Because
the Chi, I have a feeling that Choice Specs Overheat just Oko's Wolf's for a Giraffe on the spot. And it even might, Chi-Yu is a deadly Pokemon, and I think it's Terrafire.
Yeah.
And I don't know the calcs, but I'm pretty sure even through the Hearth Flame, Terrafire Overheat Oko's Ogerpon.
Okay, probably.
Yeah. Which I think it also Oko's Urshifu.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous how much damage
No
it
doubt
does.
on a sunny day as well, probably even just guarantee it, to be honest, if anything. But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, overall, I think Wolf's team was the meta core for Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yeah, just judging by what everyone was running, I think he was expecting just like standard people to play it safe.
Yeah.
Whereas the team is like, I expect it to be pretty hard to use with all the pivoting set up. Because he's got Trick Room on it, but I don't think it's a very Trick Room oriented team.
No, not at all.
It's the counter trick.
It's the counter of the Trick Room, which he did do on stream. I think one of the first turns he used it to counter the Trick Room, and he pretty much won the game from there.
Yeah.
Stop. Okay, beautiful. Give me a pause.
Don't know.
Oh, tech issues.
Technical issues.
Pilot episode pretty good. But we're still live, I suppose. We can still comment more.
You still got the other camera as well.
We're back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will
one thing
back
I'll
you.
never get about Showdown and the flu. Why did they fix the Ogerpon sprite? Come on, I mean, look at us.
Yeah.
Can Smogon fix these bloody sprites?
Yeah, come on.
Honestly, like, how can I get a
What are we
dual
paying
master-
you guys for?
What are we playing you guys for?
I'll do it myself.
Jeez.
Nah, but it's good. I think Wolfie, the interesting tech for this one is definitely the offensive photograph, which I also ran back in Brisbane. It's just like, nah, but it's good. I think.
He's on the Patreon.
It's on the Patreon.
It's like, Wolfie, have you ever thought about feeding?
Yeah, that was for you guys.
Yeah.
But no, I think he just knows the meta quite well, and
Yeah.
because of that, if you know the meta well, you know how to play around it. So
Yeah.
3-month break is too good.
maybe just resets
I
the break.
reckon.
Just resets and just gives it a break. And I think a lot of people can experience a lot of burnout playing
Yeah, burnout's
playing a
a
lot of the
thing.
games.
Yeah.
I think like when you keep playing, you keep expecting to win and to win and to win, and you just keep sliding down the ladder. Or if you beat playing people, you just can't get reads, or you play tilted and stuff. And when we talk about playing tilted, is like you just go balls to the wall, all in, just like start playing hyper offensive, like without even thinking about what you're gonna do.
It's
It's tough.
in VGC tournaments, you start losing, you start getting into a cycle where you get depressed. So
Oh no. no.
no, but like you sort of had to have the mental stamina to keep playing through game after game after game and to keep the morale up, because as soon as you lose your morale, it's like you start thinking, oh, I can't do this, and then that's a negative feedback loop mentally. So you got to keep, like, it's one thing to team build, it's one thing to play good Pokemon, but it's another thing to be able to mentally endure the longer tournaments, especially the internet. If it goes for 2 days, you need to just keep winning,
Yeah.
and that can be very tiring. So I think that really divvies up between the people who can play and people who can really play. It's not just about team building, it's about the fortitude of being able to keep playing again and again and again at the top level.
That's very true. Because even for like big tournaments like regionals, like you can be like the Wolfie, but if you only have like 3 games in you before you burn out, you're just gonna suffer like the next few rounds.
Yeah.
Monster energy, just.
Yeah, so someone that's done really well in tournaments, like what are your strategies
Oh man.
to endure, like, you've been to multiple regionals, top cutted, you've also been to worlds many times, like what's your
Look, I'll be honest, all the World Championships I've been to, I kind of sacked the competition to go sightseeing. I mean, I remember one of them was in Washington, and I'm like, I didn't go, I think I went 2-3, then I dropped, and then just went to like the White House. I'm like, sick. But that's like, I mean, look, it's tricky for international tournaments because if you go overseas, you kind of like, you want to sightsee, obviously.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't have like enough time off work and uni. So when I have to tell the uni that I'm like playing Pokemon, they're like, huh?
I normally just say I'm playing chess, I'm sorry.
It's a bit awkward. But for regionals and like local tournaments, like local internationals, I mean, the way I approached it was, I think my first Master Division regional, I was going awful at the locals.
Oh, yeah.
I think I was like 2-3. So I'm like, all right, I'll play. I'll see how it goes. And then it didn't go too bad. And then I think that was in 2017. That was a long time ago. But no, that regional, I think, since it only went for 6 rounds, it kind of helps with like the stamina to keep going through. Whereas like, I think Sydney last year was 8 rounds.
Oh man.
And Brisbane.
Oh no.
Yeah, they last once it goes after like.
No, eight games sounds so tiring, man.
Look,
Especially if you go,
I had 7. My last opponent was gone. Last round.
yeah.
you go flashbacks.
Look, yeah, they're 60-minute games each essentially. So if you times that by 8 times 6 is 48.
My good.
No, 60 minutes per round, right?
What is it?
Is it
60-minute rounds?
Was it 50-minute rounds?
I think it's
60?
50. I think it's 50 now.
50?
Yeah, I think it's 50.
All right, let's say it's 50, then you times by, so 400 minutes. And then you've got like all those interludes, like waiting for the like information to come out. So look, I found it to be pretty exhausting.
Blake,
Yeah, look, it can't, if you bring food, it makes it easier.
It's a bit rough though, because I remember in Sydney, at least last year, they actually took away like
We didn't have
branded
break.
food. Oh, not even lunch break, but they took away branded food. Because I remember like some people got their Cokes taken out of the bags, or like the sandwiches. If it had Woolies sandwiches, they took it out and left it somewhere.
Yeah, they're pretty full on with
in
branding.
Sydney. I don't know about Brisbane. I kind of
No, everywhere I think they even put like a tape on your shirt if
Yeah.
you're on stream. Like,
Yeah, just to make sure that
Yeah.
you don't get any branding, like you know.
Oh, they just gave me a free shirt. I have one of the
no.
most branded things.
I'm sure you're at a Hilfiger and you swear at someone. They're gonna be like Hilfiger's gonna be
You
like.
got the massive
Pokemon.
Nike
Oh,
like tick
no.
on your shirt.
Yeah.
But no, I reckon it is exhausting. Internationals
very.
are probably the most exhausting,
yeah.
other than Worlds. I remember Worlds had this massive queue on
Yeah.
day one, picking up your stuff. Lasted for like 4 hours. And then the actual day one was from like morning, evening.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to be well prepared. I know that for Melbourne this year, the bus may or may not have been the play.
God.
Yeah, actually
Look,
outrageous.
So how can you explain to people watching how are you going to get to Melbourne?
I will be taking a bus on Friday evening. But for very good cause, I have a work meeting on the Friday evening. So it means if I try to take the earliest flight, which is at like 6:30 p.m., I'll arrive at Melbourne at about 8 p.m. And then from Melbourne, like the airport Avalon, it's like 55 minutes to get to the hotel
Getting to-
without traffic.
Are you not going to Tullamarine?
It doesn't take me to Tullamarine.
Oh, jeez. good
Yeah,
luck.
Yeah,
it-
no,
it
the
only
Jet-
just
the
takes me
Jets-
to Avalon.
yeah, the Jetstar flights, the cheapest ones, they go to Avalon.
Yeah, the Tullamarine one's at
You should have
7:30.
spent a bit more for.
Look, hear me out. Look, yeah, but it takes me to
Rex
the hotel.
business class.
Yeah, no, it gets me to basically the CBD area where the tournament is
Yeah.
at about 10 p.m. And then, like, by then, you're either going to have a good sleep or a bad sleep. So,
You're still top cutting around.
you know what? No, I'm not.
Yeah, retired watched our
So,
BGC
I
player
will-
top cuts the second region.
With 2 hours of sleep. Okay.
I will be taking a bus with a very... Is Martin new?
Yeah, he started in
He
September.
started,
Yeah, he
Yeah.
hasn't been playing to that.
He plays a lot of smoke on tours, I think.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
well, we're indoctrinating a new VGC player on the Firefly Express bus. It's going to be a wicked 11-hour bus trip. There's no showers on board. And the
Oh,
second
no.
we arrive at 6:15 a.m., we're off to dump our stuff off at the hotel and play 9 rounds of Swiss, I think. I think it's 9 rounds. It's good. It stink up your opponent.
Yeah.
9 rounds of Swiss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they maxed our capacity, so
Yeah.
there's actually a lot of people.
Should I feel like going in the EV onesie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's 300 competitors.
So that's a day two then. That's
There
a
is
day
a
two.
day
Day
two.
two. Top cut, like not top cut, but a day two play to
Yeah.
play in top cut.
Is
Yeah.
it- yeah, that's why I'm bringing like
That's
the
tough.
worst team.
Nah.
Bad team, bro.
No, but
Slow
the best way to play
Slow
the
grind.
longer tournaments is to not just go to have fun. Don't think about winning. You start thinking about winning, then you lose morale. If you just
Think about the money.
the money. This is where the money. I need the money.
Look, there's multiple perspectives to take it from. Hear me out.
That's one of them.
It's like, I'm here like, oh, it's about the love of the game,
What?
and
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm playing for the money.
Look. Yes, I do believe that. Look, make some friends at tournaments, meet some new people, have a good time. I feel like that should be the crux of VGC, is that it's very community based.
But the money.
But there is a degree of like competitiveness where if you got that dog, which I personally don't have that dog because I don't have the money. But if you got the dog and you've got a bit of pork on your fork, okay, then
Get
you
some
know,
pork in your fork.
Look, a lot of people back in the day, they used to travel from like Sydney to Melbourne to Brisbane to Perth, around to grab CP, and they used to just pile it on, and you have like 900 by the end. You get a free flight to Worlds, free flight to international championships, and this is for all divisions. So if you have like, hypothetically for the ethical parents out there, if you have a kid in juniors or seniors that, they like Pokemon, that want to play, if they earn enough CP, they get to go and travel overseas. Now, the Pokemon company isn't going to ship your kid out without anything. They're like, your kid's under 18, you need a parent guardian, you're related, you get a free flight with John to go play in the European International
Dave?
Championship.
You mean Dave?
It's not Dave.
It's Dave's brother John.
Yeah, but it's like you get your flight paid if you're a parent and accommodation, so you can see where the incentive comes in. And
free
for a lot of
holiday.
people, it's a free holiday in a sense. So you can see there's like a degree of competitiveness, but then when you go to Masters, you've got all like, you know, the big dogs that like want to go to Worlds, they want to win Worlds, they just want to like start racking up. So take it from two perspectives. Playing it for fun is the recommended, that is the ideal. Yeah. Getting a bit too competitive can like get a bit hazy. I remember, oh man, it's gonna sound dodgy. Before open team sheets, when we had closed team sheets, before top cut tournaments, in a few, I mean, they weren't mainly for Premier Challenge, mainly regionals. There would be like a whole bunch of people scattering around, sussing out information, saying like, do you know what he's running? Do you know what he's running? And yeah, and on the surface, it doesn't sound bad. It's like, oh yeah, I'll tell you what I'm running. But in the previous generations, they had moves like Hidden Power, which, you know, different ones. And then you had Z moves, and then you had Mega Evolutions. Was he carrying a Mega Stone? Was he not? You had all these like little bits of information. So it was one thing to kind of like suss out some, you know, someone's team and say, yeah, he's running this. You should prepare for this tomorrow night, which a lot of people did. But it was another thing, which is why I expect open team sheets to have kind of spawned, was there was a lot of misinformation. So there'd be people purposely misgiving information, saying like, yeah, he's running Assault Vest, so we can't protect. And I got one of those bits of misinformation once. I'm like, dog, what's going on?
Personally, I think that's just part of the game.
Yes.
Like even if it is kind of scummy, it's part of the game.
Yeah.
Low?
That's
why I got another battery.
We're back.
We are so...
Woo! We're so back,
so
guys.
back.
So you're going to Melbourne on a bus?
Yep. Shout out to the bus driver.
11-hour trip.
How many rounds of?
It's
The
9
wheels on the
rounds of
bus
Swiss.
go round and round,
Look,
round and round.
Arguably, it's the smartest financial decision of my life. From a sleep point of view, it's pretty bad. It's
you gotta give Qantas, Qantas freaking 5 points. The biggest winner for like in VGC in Australia is Qantas. Just the amount of flights.
Yeah, they would get
Yeah.
Look, the bus is solid, I reckon.
Okay.
I
Someone
think.
said you're wrong, hey buddy.
Look, hear me out. If one of us top cuts, which I reckon Martin might.
You are
Yeah,
a top
okay.
cut, mate.
Yeah,
He could.
I reckon.
He's got the skills.
He's got the skills.
He did lose his last State of Origin game though.
That was that
You
was-
win.
Didn't know about it.
Bit rusty though,
If anyone's wondering, we have a State of Origin in Australia at the moment. So we've got New South Wales, Queensland, Western Australia, and Victoria. We're playing within 4 weeks. We're playing games against each other. We have 9 players on each team. So New South Wales has 9 players, and then we get paired up with another state. So for example, for now this week we're playing against Western Australia. So one of each trainer gets paired up with someone from Western Australia, and Martin, who he thinks he's going to top cut, actually lost his game, but
It was rigged.
shout out to Martin.
It was rigged.
Yeah. I mean,
It was
Martin,
a team sheet error. Team sheet
error, which
outrageous.
is
Wait, actually?
yeah, kind of it sucks. So
Look, the
Yeah.
Western Australians speak a different language. It's their fault. Shout out to the Northern Territory for not making it.
yeah, but
Oh,
yeah, so
no,
it's similar
no,
to the
you don't do it.
USPA, I think, which is like the United States. They have their own kind of not a state of origin, but it's like states that have a draft, and then they get their
Draft
players,
makes
and they all battle each other.
Did
So
they have the Pokemon Super Bowl? The Pokeball?
no,
Pokeball?
no, they don't. But that could be an idea actually for the future, I think. But yeah, so we just decided to do our own one, and we had certain limitations on it, which caused a bit of controversy. But anyway, a lot of people are having fun playing. My match is tomorrow, so whether this podcast goes out, I'm not sure.
Check out
But,
ImLordKai on Twitch.
yeah, shout out to LordKai on Twitch, which is me. But yeah, join the Discord.
Discord. Alright.
Yeah, so anything else you guys want to quickly discuss? Next, we're going to go on to the topic of memes. But is there anything that you guys wanted to discuss really quickly? Talk about
Our revenue stream. I'm joking.
It's all about the money.
Cut this one out, cut this
Do you want to talk about the situation quickly about how it is in Australia in terms of VGC and how to get into it, if you want to get into it?
Locals doing great, but we lost a lot of our big tournaments. We only had 3 regionals, no more internets. New Zealand gets nothing.
Yeah.
Or New Zealand.
I think VGC is glamorized in a sense. Full transparency. you need a bit of coin to play at at any level.
Yeah,
Like if you want to go to a local, your local's probably like $20, $30, which you can see as like, being like a KFC feed. Or if you win the tournament, you get your money back plus a bit of, an extra ton on top. So you kind of
it's like investing in stock.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to say it's like gambling in a sense.
Oh, it's
but
not gambling.
It's not gambling.
It's not. It's about
Because you control the odds by how you perform.
And it's not even that. It's like you're not rigged. Or it's not even rigging. It's like
Oh, we rig it.
there's no
Full disclosure, we do not rig it.
there's no statistics that goes against you. It's just on how well you do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess you
performance.
give yourself a chance to play,
Yeah.
and you give yourself a chance to earn points, and you give yourself a chance to travel the world
Get a
and
chance
play
to win the
Pokemon.
Powerball.
So it's kind of chance based, but it also depends on how you perform. If you perform well, then you do well, you get points.
Just
you
like
get
any
money.
sport, really.
It's the statistics when Wolf Glick turns up.
That'll be interesting. Yeah, one day.
But yeah, it's a good investment in a sense. I mean, your $20 that goes in is one, going to give you a good time at the event, and two, the opportunity to earn some money back, and three, your ticket to competing in the World Championship gets closer. And yeah, even if you don't do good, next tournament you can bounce back, and then you just start working your way up the pay scale until you're CEO of all the regionals.
Yeah, because I think it's unrealistic for any first time local player to win the locals, right? Because you have so many like recurring people there already that know the format pretty well. Like if you're going for the first time, 9 times out of 10 you're going to lose because of like nerves and whatnot. But you're just hardening your nerves as you're going on, and you'll get better over time.
Yeah.
Not me though.
I guess that the competitive comes out into you want to keep doing well. You want to keep playing. You want to come back. You want to play a bit better. You want to come back. You want to play a bit better. Just every single time that you do play, like you learn something different, like about yourself and how you manage your stress and your emotions, but also more about the game, different mechanics of the game. Like one thing that I learned the other day on stream was I didn't know Mighty Cleave hit through Protect, and then I got hit, and I was like, what? Wait a second.
Me when I swore a grass type for like the 10th time that week. Like, can I play Pokemon? Me when I misclick. It's so much easier to misclick on the Switch than it was on the 3DS and DS. I don't know why. I keep doing it.
Flippy Joy-Con.
You just touch it on the DS. It's very tactile.
I think overall in the current situation of Australia is like it's kind of hard to get points if you don't go to events, or if you don't travel overseas to get points, or if you don't travel to different states. Being that as a May, we only have 3 regionals, whereas US has 15. We only have 3. So it's really important that if you do want to play, if you want to play or want to get into it, is to start playing at local events. Local events will be advertised through the Play Pokemon website, and also gaming stores usually host Pokemon events that give you points. It's not only just video game VGC; it's also TCG. Pokemon Go hasn't come out yet for that kind of stuff, but
Tune in.
yeah, we're trying to work on it.
Pass the judges test.
Yeah. But yeah, it's really important that you go to locals and these grassroots events. And the most important thing about actually going to grassroots events is actually meeting the people, getting to know them, getting to know what they use, what they play with. And if you do happen to get their contact on Discord or something, you can talk to them about, hey, what are your thoughts about X, Y, Z about my team? They can maybe look through it and stuff like that.
Then they'll block you.
Hey Gilbo, can you build my team for me? I can't build.
Blocked.
Gilbo, why?
Yeah.
Sends the Patreon.
How could Dave do this?
Dave. There you go. But that's a big part, actually the community. And the community that we have in Sydney is quite big at the moment. Like we're almost cracking 50 people at events, which is,
That's cracked.
I would say, the largest kind of locals per capita in the world, if not even per capita, but per person in the world.
For those who don't know, back in the day, before COVID, all of our sort of community events were in Newcastle. So you'd have to drive or catch a train to Newcastle just to do, the Premier Challenges. And towards the end, it'd be like 5 people. Because it's just so hard, especially late in the season. It would have been just me, Gilbo, and a few other guys just sitting around. And Gilbo and I didn't know each other back then.
I don't even know him now. Support your locals.
We're just 4 guys who barely know each other, just sitting in a circle.
Just playing.
It's a dating show.
That's fun.
But yeah, Anyways, moving on, we're going to go to some Pokemon memes. So I've gone through Instagram and gone through like Pokemon memes, and I found some funny ones. We might go through, how many can we watch today? Maybe about 5 or 6 today. Can we just maybe check if the volume is working for one of them?
But leave a like.
If you click on the thing there. Okay, that's cool. All right, so...
Fair enough.
So this is the first person to ever evolve. All right. Now let's go to another one. You can pick any kind of one. Some of them are not going to be Pokemon related, but you'll know which ones are.
Why?
Oh yeah, this one's not really funny, but it's the rarest Pokemon encounter ever. I don't know if you guys know this.
Is it the Dragonite hidden one?
It could be. I'm not sure.
Because I remember before.
Oh, Gen 5 Soldier.
It's a bit of a walk though.
My first Pokemon game.
Black and White,
Oh,
the best games. The best games.
I'm jealous of it.
Black and White did so much.
John Cena. Why is it floating that funny?
Oh man,
Yeah, a bit of a walk, eh?
it's been so
Oh, here we
long
go.
since I played.
Probably soon. Here we go.
Is that for real?
Yeah, it's a multi-scale.
Oh really?
I think it's multi-scale.
1%, and the ultimate Pokemon Shark in general are really low as well.
That's 1% encounter on this one.
1%.
Yeah,
for
but
the
like,
Dragon.
Oh,
if
okay.
you're in Gronos, you don't always get Pokemon, if you remember.
Yeah, you get
Yeah.
items as well sometimes, but you just get nothing.
Yeah, well usually it's items because Pokemon are a lot
Yeah.
rarer.
Yeah.
Alright, click on that one, that old guy that has his, no, on the right, far right, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever had the desire to write your initials in with
You love to go a-wandering beneath a clear blue sky.
Can you remember the tallest man you've ever seen?
Does your computer ever seem to have a mind of its own? Have you noticed how many successful restaurants are theme-based these days? You ever gone mountain biking? Have you ever...
So these guys are random.
That's so true though, that's so true.
Oh, they waffle.
But that best NPC, like, oh, the air is so tasty. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Are you from Yes
Where are you from? Yes or no?
Scroll up.
Oh
let's see.
no. Ruby Sapphire, when like a guy asks you a question with
what's
like a
that?
specific answer, like
Oh,
yes
right,
or no,
oh, the
and it's just
Pokemon.
like,
But underneath that one,
what are you
what's that one?
talking about?
They talk the wildest.
Cry.
Oh,
Oh,
sad.
man,
Oh, yeah, let's see.
It's pretty funny.
Huh?
What?
It says, my wife gone, my life has become very lonely. Would you be so kind as to lend me a Pokemon? I hate to be picky, but I'll have to take a Pokemon under level 5. You've made an old man smile. Which Pokemon are you going to choose?
What would you need is
Truly? Will you lend me this Pokemon? Oh, he gave him an Eevee. Good call. That'd be sad, isn't it? Where's this city?
This is Anastar City.
Anastasia. Oh, this is a Pokeball. Kaylin began to read below. Dear Kaylin, thanks to the card that you in your Eevee showed me, I was able to keep smiling until the very end. I apologise, but I can't look after Eevee anymore. Please take this comment shard and poke it. Oh, he's dead.
Oh no, he's not gonna go.
Hey man.
Away from the comment shop.
Oh, he's
He
dead.
went
He's
to
got a
a
life
Comment
insurance
shard.
comment shot.
Jesus, oh, that's sad.
no, don't do
That
that.
kind of hit the feels, yeah.
Pretty
That's
depressing.
not crying, just, dude.
I never knew that was the thing.
Yeah.
Let's pick,
Couldn't sell the house.
What are you talking about?
yeah, click on that one, the magnitude one.
Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver
Oh,
us.
and they just got clapped.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he got the slide.
Oh yeah.
We'll call it. Alright guys, yeah, so that's the first episode, the pilot of the PokéFolk podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, bit of a long one, but
What, 2
I
hours?
think we just went through the basics and stuff, but I think next time we'll probably go through more specifics and stuff and maybe cover things like the most recent regionals, how the Aussie players are going, we might go through that, give them an update.
Are these gonna be weekly?
I don't know when these are going to be. Maybe once a month or something.
Once
Once a month. If anything,
One episode,
Well,
one and
that
done,
overtime.
one hit wonder.
if anything, we can do it like via Zoom or something as well.
That'd be cute.
Yeah, I'll probably
Organize
need to
a
when
night
I'm in
to
Japan.
yeah to.
Oh, we need a mid-season showdown pre-show.
Oh, you could do that too
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be fun.
as well. So, yeah. So we have a tournament 18th of February. It's a Sunday at UTS. It's going to be 3 Premier Challenges, back to back to back.
My bad.
I tried my
Oh,
best.
man.
It could have been 4.
Hear me out. I was ghosted.
Yeah.
I wasn't ghosted. What I
Yeah.
was.
Shout out to my legs when I walked the equivalent of 17 kilometers back and forth just to get to the printer.
Godzilla.
Yeah.
I think I lost like 2 kilos that day.
Rubbing the cut in my face.
I'm gonna bring my own printer next time. Actually, I might be
Yeah.
better. So
Shout out,
anyway,
Mr. Noodles.
shout out to Alan, to ColdToast, and to Dave. I just thought it was you. To Dave. This is the PokéFolk Podcast. I'm ImLordKai. Thanks for tuning in. Feel free to follow us on our socials and our Instagram, and
Give us a donation.
give us a donation
us some money.
if you.
We have open
I like
donation.
money.
If you, we have and a cheeky word from our sponsor. We've got no sponsors, so if you want to sponsor the PokéFolk Podcast, feel free to reach
We're
out to
open
us.
to anything.
Links.
Literally anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
You let us know. We'll make
we
it
just get, we
work.
just get my man One Stop.
Oh, yeah.
Who?
One stop.
Who's
One stop
that?
Poké Shop.
They sponsored our interview tournament last year.
Oh, did they?
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got one message and I was like, yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, One Stop Poké Shop.
One stop
This,
for us.
this stream is sponsored by One Stop Poké Shop.
He's
Well,
already,
not yet.
he's
Not
already
yet.
plugged
Oh,
in.
no.
Not yet. Not yet.
Plugged in.
You don't get the endorsement until we see those dollars.
UTS Pokemon Club will
Shout out to
sponsor.
Willie.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
and shout out to the UTS Pokemon Club. ColdToast is the president, and thanks to him,
Presidente.
we
El
were able to
Presidente.
host this podcast and our locals at this venue. So it's been a big help. He's unfortunately going to Japan, but fortunately also going to Japan. It's when?
Visa's
Nah.
expired.
Actually,
Back to the motherland.
I get to meet Satoshi Tajiri himself.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
track him down, I'm joking.
Kami Cup?
Back to
I don't think we should.
You know what?
Alright,
Fair
let's
enough.
watch the
Thank you. Any closing jingles? No. Closing jingles?
We'll give the company motto.
Please.
Ring a ding ding, I like money.
I love that.
You want to see something, Jiggle?
Starts to
Turn the camera off.
Oh.
Yeah.